What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the post-mortem of the game. Manchester United have just gone out on penalties to Fulham with Joshua Zirkzee and Victor Lindelof both missing their penalties, which means they advance, and our defence of the FA Cup is now officially over. I don't know about you, Civir, but that, to me, felt like exclusively one of the longest games I think I've ever witnessed. It felt really, really long and dragged out, and there was lack of quality in a lot of moments, wasn't there, throughout the full game?
Yeah, I felt exactly the same, to be honest. Just kept dragging on. But I think the first half was a bit of a dud. But the second half, I actually enjoyed the extra time, to be honest, even though it kind of
It
dragged.
was better than the actual game, wasn't it? The extra time.
Yeah, the extra time was a lot better. I think we saw a little bit more confidence in the players, the tight passing, the passive in tight areas, the 1-2s.
Yeah.
And we were really coming into the game, pause. But apart from that, yeah, it was a bit long. But yeah, disappointing in the end. But it doesn't feel that too bad.
No, I get what you're saying, because I'm kind of like, I don't know if people feel the same. People might, absolutely disagree with it. But I winning a trophy like this with the teams that are still in it and the way we're playing, it's kind of like, if we was going to win it or even get advanced, it'd be scraping our way through it, like we literally did through today's game, basically. I mean, the lads, at certain moments, I was looking at players on the pitch, and he was just dead on the feet. He was absolutely dead. I thought Zirkzee was taking a shit on the pitch at one point because he was just squatting and trying to get like his glutes going again because he was knackered. But look, you have to start with obviously the main events. We'll get into penalties and stuff like that. But obviously Fulham went up 1, as everyone expects, because United never ever score first. It takes someone to score for us to react. Fulham get the goal. What did you make of that? Do you think it was sloppy defending from the lads, if you can even remember it?
Yeah, no, I remember it. I saw someone put something on Twitter. That was an exact replica of a goal they scored 2 years before.
Yep.
Old Trafford. I literally saw, and so it's just one of those ones. Every time the opposition gets a corner, we're worried like something's going to happen, and it's justified because they won 2 headers in the box. They score that. I usually take it easy on teams whenever they concede corners, like goals from corners, because like I remember listening to Oliver Kahn, the goalkeeper, and I remember him saying like corners are some of the most. It's just like a bozo sort of pinball. You can't really. There's half a millisecond to react, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if it keeps happening repeatedly, then there is an issue there. And the fact that it's taking us so long, like we give teams a chance to actually get a foothold of the game whenever they're threatening from corners. And yeah, it was just one of those ones. I don't think anyone was surprised when we conceded from corner.
No, me including in that as well. I thought there was some kind of recognisable patterns throughout the game. Obviously, Fulham were trying to press high up the pitch, to force us into mistakes, and was all over us for the first initial half, I want to say. But one thing we was doing when he was pressing onto us, De Ligt was picking up the ball quite a lot, and those switches of play was really, really killing him, which we were saying you see more in an Amarin team, don't you? Like, we're not seeing much of it, but it seems like he started letting him just kind of go, play ball if you want to. The issue is, on the other end of that was Dalot, and when Dalot's in the final third, it's kind of, I know he set up Bruno, for example, for the goal, which was great, but I felt a lot of the times when he was in those key areas, it was kind of like, you didn't feel like there was much directness from that, if you know what I mean, whereas if it was a Dorgu Chiv, it would have been a different situation.
Yeah, facts, but fair play to Dalot. Like in the first 20 minutes or so, like he was occupying those spaces. Like I'd never really seen him do that consistently. A few times he's been there. I think he scored against FC SB in the Europa League. I think he scored from one of those positions. So he's venturing into there. But I get what you're saying. When you have like an attack-minded player occupying those positions, then it becomes more potent. And Dalot really did it for the first, I don't know, half an hour, something like that. And then we never really saw that again until the goal. With the way we set up with Amarin, yes, the switch is always on. And I think once players start to realize, because there's so many times when it's on. I remember the game we played. What was the last game where Dovu gets sent off? Who was it?
Ipswich.
Yeah, there were so many times when, even before it went off, like you could see him in position, just waiting for that ball to go through. the issue I have with the way we play right now is that we just make it so easy for people to just pass the ball into, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it's like there's no midfield. They literally
The
just go from
area
attack.
that the player receives it, there's just miles, isn't there? There's
It's just
acres of
miles.
space.
The ball. Every time there's a loose ball in the middle, it's an opposition player that gets
You want
to
someone
it.
on it straight away. Yeah.
Every single time, because we've got the two midfielders are literally on the edge of our box, so it's just wide open.
Yeah.
And then one of the attackers has to drop in. So every single time, I was like, why aren't we picking up those loose balls in the middle? Like it's, I don't understand it. But that's what worries me. Maybe maybe the players just don't get it for now. Maybe the manager needs to work on some. I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is what I can see. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed, because when you have players that have really good midfielders on the ball, like Lukic was really good on the ball, Sanderberg was class today on the ball. Like it was, when you have people like that who can exploit all that space, like you'll always be chasing. Always.
Yeah, felt like there was a lot of huffing and puffing from both teams. I thought there's lack of quality in areas, sloppy passes. It felt like two teams, even though the league positions suggest that they're kind of far apart or whatever, it didn't feel like there was that much difference in both sides, especially in the final third. And I think a big part of that was Rasmus Højlund, to be fair. And I think you got to have a conversation about it, because there were situations where it looked lively in the first 10, 15 minutes. You thought, oh, okay, there's a bit of a bright spark. He's getting, I think Christian Eriksen put an early cross in for him that he got onto the end of, and it was little bits like that. But then for the majority of the game, I remember Mazraoui putting a through ball in for him in behind, like an awkward pass behind Calvin Bassett, it might have been, I think. Bassett just...
Yeah, it was Bassett. I remember that.
Like, yeah,
Twice.
Step aside, kid. Do you know what I mean? Step aside.
Twice.
This is my football. Which is weird, because when Cheeto came on, I don't want to go with the wave because everyone's saying it, but it was true. I think he offered more, personally.
He did. He definitely did. He definitely made Bassey worry a little bit more than he did with Højlund. And you've got Bassey, and then you've got Joachim Andersen, who's a Danish international, who knows everything about Højlund. So, like, I remember they had a little wrestling match. Like it was like the first 10 minutes, him and Anderson at some point, and I was just like, oh yeah, okay. I can see, like, he probably thinks, yeah, I know what you're on. I know everything about you. That's it, you're not a threat. And even though Obi, like, he's not ready, but he's done more than enough to deserve a chance based on what Højlund is offering. So I'm not saying he's Premier League ready, but I'm just saying, based on what we have and based on what he's done today, I think he's given us more of a chance. He's giving himself a big chance to actually start, because I remember I said it a couple of streams ago. I don't know, maybe it was in the chat. I was like, we're playing with the man down. We play with Højlund. He just offers, if he can't run into a ball, he offers nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then today, on 2 occasions where he actually runs onto the ball, he gets bullied off it. Now, I'm not trying to be too critical of him. Like, Bassey's a strong defender and all that kind of stuff. But then, if we're pinning all our hopes on you, and if it's a situation where we need goals, and you're not, look at Xerxes. Xerxes doesn't really give us the goals, but he gives us a lot more in what he gives us so much more. Brings people in. That kind of stuff. And then he's gone through a rough time as well, and he's managed to climb out of it. Now, Højlund, maybe it's just the system. I don't know. But I think this is a conversation that we've had, you and I and everyone else. But I think more importantly is people like Amorim need to have this conversation with Højlund or with whoever, with his staff, and think of another way, because it doesn't seem the experiment isn't working.
For me, now, I'm not an attacking coach, but I would imagine if an attacking coach watches both their cameos in a game simultaneously, right, side by side, the one thing that sticks out for me in particular is the instinct of each player. So with strikers, for example, when a ball's bobbling about, they've got that nose for it. They just know where it is. Rasmus, for me, doesn't really have that. Cheeto, it's like, you could see it's in him. It's like natural, you know what I mean? It's built in him.
He's just there.
And he's ready to latch onto a ball. I mean, he had a few really good opportunities. There was one save that he forced from Leno where he just tipped it over. And I was like, that was really close. And we didn't see
that. I mean, that's just one example of like, and well, it's Barcelona. It happens a lot, like in Spain, in Portugal. Like they're not as apprehensive as releasing their youngsters the way we are in England. I've noticed that. Like they don't care. They would play you if you're ready. If they think you're ready. When Hansi Flick went to Barcelona, they had.
Yeah.
I mean, how at some point I think they had like 4 or 5.
The 3 players now that are really important for them: Pedri, Lamal, and Kubasri. Kubasri, the Pau Kubasri. I can't say his name.
Yeah.
The defender.
Someone else, I've forgotten his name. This midfielder, I keep forgetting his name.
Gavi?
Not Gabi. Not Gabi or Pedri or I forgot. I keep forgetting his class. His name starts with a C. I'll remember at some point.
Yeah.
But he's really, really good. He's another youngster that they've unleashed. And I think we're a little bit too, you know, sort of you don't want to let people. Yeah, sometimes you just chop them in. So Alex did it. Makeda was 17 when he came on. Welbeck and them were 18. Yeah, I mean, and then now when we actually need a striker, why not? Why not see what you know? If he's up for it, then yeah, why not? And you could tell from his mannerisms that he's kind of up for it. That chance you're talking about as well was a very instinctive chance because he runs onto the ball, and naturally you think he'd take it with his left, but then he's within that split second he manages to control it and then go with his right, and he tries to dink it over Leno, and then Leno makes the save with his hand. So it was a key moment that we hadn't seen from Højlund, and I like the idea of Højlund, but you have to be realistic, man. It's not working.
I think side by side again, if you could do a comparison, and I know people say comparisons is a thief of joy, but you put them both together, Højlund looks like the younger player just naturally due to. I mean, there was one situation to be fair where Bruno played a really smart, like blind pass into the path of him, and if he cushioned it properly, Chido, you're in, and he probably scores. So little bits like that, he will be rough around the edges for. Of course, he will be. He's 17
I remember that one.
Do you know what I mean? Like really smart from Bruno.
Yeah, I think that one was he didn't expect it. I don't think anyone expected it, and maybe a more experienced striker. I get what you're saying. Yeah, maybe a more experienced striker. Maybe if he reads Bruno a little bit more, he'd probably get it. But then I remember that one, and it was a really smart move. Like he literally picked the defender's pockets, slid it in for him, and then it's just one of them ones.
Well, there was a couple of interesting moments in the second half. A couple of my mates was going back and forth with in a WhatsApp chat, as we all do. The substitutions, Yoro and Ugarte coming off. Obviously, Ugarte was on a yellow card. Did you understand the subs at the time? Do you have any kind of qualms with him? Or was you a little bit like, confused a little bit?
Yeah, it was a bit confusing. Lindelof for Yoro, was that injury?
I don't think so. Yoro didn't look injured. Ugarte, I kind of understood because I was like, well, maybe he's managing minutes because you got a big game in Sociedad on Thursday, and he's on a yellow card, so he would have already missed the next round. I don't know if they carry through or if it stays in the same competition. I'm not entirely sure.
Sociedad?
Yeah, so if
no, it's only
just one strict. Right. Okay.
No, it's FA. It's FA. So Premier League, FA Cup, and League Cup.
Right. Okay.
So it's FA, but it doesn't cross to UEFA or Europe or whatever.
But maybe he was thinking he could have got a red. You know what I mean? Because the way tackles were flying in.
Ones, yeah.
It's just the Euro one.
I don't get it. Yeah, was it for Lindelof?
I feel like I think it was for Victor Lindelof. But the centre backs, he seems to do that a lot, doesn't he? Centre backs in like the 60th, 70th minute, he seems to rotate, and I don't get why.
And Euro had a good game.
Yeah, he was great. Fine.
He had a really good game on that left-hand side. Don't get it. But I think for me, it was just before the game, I didn't care what the performance was. I wanted a scrappy win. Just go in and win. Yeah, I didn't really care. So I was like, whoever he lines up, just lock it up, get a goal, and then let's proceed. I don't understand. I really don't. Now that you've mentioned it, I'm trying to think back. Like, I didn't get the substitutes. I know Garnacho came on, and I was happy about that. But I didn't at that time. I didn't understand what was going on. If it was an injury or whatever. And then was Maguire injured?
Again, we don't know. We're not privy to that information, so you can only speculate at that point. But with Garnacho coming on, for me, he's extremely good at getting into dangerous spaces, but he's worse at not executing in them spaces. Like, he's so good 1v1 and direct, and he's a threat. And then when you get there, you're like, okay, now do the business. You've done the hard bit, almost, by beating these players or whatever you are. And then his execution is so poor for me in the final third. And that's probably why he hasn't scored in like 16, 17 games or whatever it is. And obviously we needed that direct threat because we started with Eriksen, Xerxes. Xerxes dropping in, Eriksen's drifting out, trying to pick up the ball. So you need someone with that. I get it. And he does bring that. But for me, the final third, if we had such a consistent player there who could execute, we'd give ourselves so much more of a chance. Because you see, like Bruno, for example, look at the goal that he scored from the position where he's at. That is a world-class finish on his weak foot as well. Yeah. And that was the one moment in the game, funnily enough, because people, criticize him and say, he's an awful player and he's not a leader. But every time now, the past 7 games, he's come up with something. So
that's the captain. That's the captain. When
numbers don't lie.
I put that in the group chat. I put that Italian slogan that says "Capo di tutti capi." That's boss of all bosses. Like, that's the captain's performance there. For me, you know how much I've been hating on Bruno.
We all have. We all said certain things about
him.
Bro,
you have to give him his credit, man. Like, when nothing was happening, he came through clutch. And for the rest of the game, he played well. Like, you can't take anything from Bruno.
No.
You have to give it to him. But back to Garnacho, I don't know whether it's a mental thing, whether it's something that's in his head for everything that's been happening recently, because it seems like he's trying to force the goals sometimes. He doesn't put his head up. He's literally, he gets this tunnel vision, cuts, and then tries to take a shot. There was so many times where he could have played in. There was once he could have played in Cheeto.
Yeah.
Could have played in Xerxes. There's so many times, like, the decisions he makes. Sometimes you can see that, like, the desire is there. Like, he's trying, but I don't know if it's a mental thing. He's just trying to force it. And sometimes you don't. I remember when Rooney went on this goal drought, and he stopped shaving. He said he wasn't gonna shave until he scored. Like, he was growing like a beard. And then when he scored, he said he just stopped. I think they asked him, and he was like, he just stopped forcing it. He just started playing. He just passed the ball, and sometimes maybe, I don't know, Garnacho maybe just needs to let it come naturally.
Sometimes go back to the basics. Go back to the fundamentals that got you to the dance. I think a lot of coaches say this. The expert coaches in that situation will always say that. I've just seen a stat come up on the screen, which is fucking interesting. So Chido Obe had 3 big chances in 52 minutes today. For comparison, Højlund's had 3 big chances in 22 Premier League matches in total. So that just tells you, he's getting himself in the right positions. He's more of a threat. I know you're not one for stats. I know you're not one that thinger, but
I know.
Come on, that's just like done the same in 55 minutes in 22 games.
Minutes. Yeah.
It's
that is damning. That is damning. And I like Rasmussen, but as a player, but yeah. He needs to step up, man.
There was a moment, I don't know if you remember it, it's like the 99th minute, ironically, 99 and all that. It was a counter-attack. It was like Cheeto, Xerxes, Garnacho.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yes.
please score this goal. Yeah, I'm like, this would be, because it reminded me of, do you remember Nani, Ji-Sung Park, Rooney, was it, against Arsenal? It was literally exactly like that. A little over-the-top ball for Garnacho, and I'm like, please, and then he misses. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, man. This team, it kills you, doesn't it, supporting this team at times?
It does. But, like, with everything that we've experienced this season, like with the injuries, with Ahmad and the red card, it sometimes just feels like, man, when did we just get a break? Like, with Dogu out, like, we just needed just that one player, just one. And that would have made a big difference today, just that one.
Yeah. If we're trying to find any kind of positives, we've already spoke on Cheeto. Obviously, Heaven got some minutes as well. Looked relatively comfortable. Didn't look troubled at all. I thought he didn't really get credit for there was a ball that Smith Rowe cut back, and he was kind of like in front of it, but he got his foot back and defended it. Yeah. But they kind of give it like, oh, Smith Rowe should have shot, rather than, oh, it was relatively good defending from Heaven, which I thought was bizarre. But he got some minutes. I think Onana, as much as I'm kind of done with him almost, he's made some good saves. You have to
Made
admit
2
it.
good saves.
Yeah, made a couple of good saves. And yeah, I thought De Ligt, for me, if I'm naming a man of the match, people might not agree. People might go with Bruno because he got the goal. I thought De Ligt was incredible, stepping up when he needed to, hitting the man, switches of play, getting back. He was fucked at one point. You saw him trying to just legging it back when it's like a 3v1, slides into him. A really
Do you
impressive
remember
display.
the one where Victor Lindelof holds off Pereira? Pereira gets the ball and he's like,
and he comes in
leg stepping
after him.
And he kind of holds him up, and then at the last minute, he loses Pereira loses Lindelof.
De Ligt's fucking
and De Ligt just comes
throwback
in,
to the 90s and smashes him.
He gets the ball. 100% ball, man. Didn't even get the player, just got the ball and took him out. Like, that was defending. Like, I don't want to see him on the left-hand side again. Like, that position where he's at, I think he's earned that. That's his now.
Absolutely. Yeah, because Yoro looks all right on the left side as well. I think he looks relatively comfortable,
he looks comfortable.
Yeah,
he looks comfortable on that side. Like, that's where he wants to play. A few times, do you remember when he wins the ball off Traore on the left-hand side? He wins it. He blocks the shot.
Yeah.
And then instead of clearing it, he literally brings the ball. He runs with the ball up front. Like, he's comfortable there.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not an injury to him today.
That's the last thing we need. I mean, we're already threadbare as it is. But, yeah, I thought it's funny because the two players that have been heavily criticised, I mean, Paul Scholes has gone on about De Ligt more times than I can count, saying he doesn't rate him. Why does he play for big clubs and now he's at United? And then, obviously, Roy Keane with the Bruno scenario as well. But they were the two players in the team today that you can really look at and go, they was probably our better players. It's not much saying because we were out of the FA Cup. Fulham have knocked us out. We're still Man United. We're supposed to defend the trophy. So we weren't great. But if you're looking to players who you want to give some flowers, sort of, I'd probably give it them, me personally. But let's see what everyone else thinks. I've ignored the comments for a bit. So, Andy Williams. Ruben cannot start with Højlund next season. He'll get him sacked. I'll tell you what, them subs killed us. Yoro and Ugarte, some of our best ground-covering players. I'm not hearing he's not getting any service anymore, funny enough. Evening, lads. Why are these players just not trying? It's just a lack of effort until we concede. Then all of a sudden they want to try and play well. So frustrating. I agree with you, Brian. T2 saying Chido's very raw, but there's defo something there. He makes things happen and Højlund doesn't. I think me and Chivy would agree with that. Sean Bayer, who I'm guessing is either a rival fan, saying United out of the cup. What a laugh. So he's happy with that one. As soon as Garnacho come on, we were a threat. De Ligt had a great game, in my opinion. Always ready to start. He's way more of a threat than Rasmus. We immediately felt weaker with Lindelof in the game. Garnacho overcooked some crosses and was always going to be selfish, but I think he's so used to not looking forward for Højlund that he misses Obi a couple of times. I'm desperate for this season to be over. You're not the only one, Andy, mate. I think everyone's in unison about that. But let's see what his pundits and Amarin saying as well. There's a couple of quotes coming in. Wayne Rooney, when you're going to try and win the Premier League, you need to be in a stable position to bring the best players in. If I'm a player playing in a different country or a club and United try and sign me, I'm looking and thinking, I'm not sure. I might stay away from there. He's not wrong.
I was thinking about the same thing yesterday. I was like, do you know how many careers that we've grown? Like, how many trajectories?
A graveyard for players. Managers, players, anyone.
Players, like, people, like players that were on the trajectory, like Donny, we killed. I mean, and I'm talking about like fringe players, just coming out like Jadon Sancho had just amazing statistics. Yeah, before he came dead. Anthony dead. Yeah. Pogba dead. Like just
we kill players.
Yeah, just killing people. Like if I was a young what Bosco said, like if I was a young player coming in or if I was like an agent, I'd be like, consider like the risk here because people who come here, they don't live the same. Memphis, dead.
Anyone we bought gets worse. There's probably a handful of players, and that's out of push, where players have come to United.
Di Maria was the only one who left and kind of
kept the same level.
He left, and then because he only did 1 year, so he kind of left and kind of maintained this thing. You know, everyone just killed people, and then they leave, and then they go back to not all of them, but a lot of them trying to get that redemption thing. Like Memphis went back and started playing well. McTominay is killing it.
I think that speaks volumes of Bruno though, because Bruno's still turning up when everything's against him, really. You got like legends of the club who are captains of the club criticising you week in, week out. You've got fan pressure, you've got manager pressure, you've got all this stuff, and he still shows up in the moments. And you still, like, I'll take the first penalty, scores first penalty, sets the tone with that as well. So yeah, I mean,
that was a pressure penalty. I could feel the pressure.
Absolutely. But he did it against Arsenal as well, set the tone against Arsenal, scored a penalty against them. And that's what leaders do. And we're seeing more. I want to see more of that from him than the other petulant shit that no fans likes. Just a quote here from Amarin on Chido. Says, Chido Obe, very good moves, a lot to improve, a bit naive, but a very good day for Chido, less so for the team. He says, our long-term goal is to win the Premier League. I don't know how long it's going to take, but that's our goal. No matter what, we continue forward. I know we're losing games and trophies in this season, but the goal is to win the Premier League. Again, I don't know how long it's going to take. I think sometimes the quality of players, Bruno, Casemiro, Josh is improving a lot. He's fighting for every ball. It's the quality of the players which help us create more chances. I want to actually, just before we head off as well, I want to give Xerxes flowers as well. I was watching him very closely today. On the ball, some really, really good bits of dribbling, agility, getting out of tight spaces, nutmegs, which is good at. Yeah, decision-making, playing passes in, and I don't think he's rewarded a lot with the other side of it when he does play it through. The player, if it is a Garnacho or whoever, seems to fuck the chance up. So that he doesn't get credit for. And another thing as well, the running that he put in today. He's not the quickest, but the legs, I mean, I would love to find a metric that shows how much distance was covered in that game, because I guarantee Xerxes, De Ligt, and Bruno are right at the top of that. And they're the kind of things that you need in order to win those type of games when it's so, the margins are so small.
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing. This is what the fans kind of want to see. Like, we've lost today, and I know people are disappointed. But then, at the same time, I don't think there's too many people out there that's going to be so well. I hope there's not too many people out there that'll be slagging off the team and all that kind of stuff. Because, it wasn't a really good performance, but they could see, that the players were putting in a shift, especially those three that you mentioned. And then this is the kind of thing we like to see. Like, okay, we lost, but then we'll still back you, like, regardless. Like, when you put in this kind of performance, they run themselves down to the ground.
Yeah, it's and look, we've got Real Sociedad next on Thursday away in Spain after 120 minutes and confidence defeated. Loss in an FA Cup, being knocked out. I mean, that's a big ask now, isn't it, Civir?
It's a huge ask. Those kind of teams, and they're so nifty in the midfield as well. Like, if we give them all that space,
they'll make us work, won't they? Watching that game.
I'm not looking forward to that game. Like, I look forward to United games, but that is one. It's going to feel like playing Brighton, and they wear white and blue as well. Brighton as well, so it's just going to be like.
Yeah, they do, don't they? The Spanish Brighton. Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly. That's the Spanish Brighton. They do it to us quite often anyway, so they might as well be the Spanish Brighton. It's just annoying watching those guys. Like, they're just going to toy with us.
Yeah, I suppose if you're looking for, I mean, they've still got players like Zubamendi in that, right?
They've got Zubamendi. They've got that Bruno look-alike. They've got like a guy who looks like Bruno, skinny.
Yeah. They've got Oyarzabal, who's always a threat for them on the wing.
Who's just lazy. And you know what annoys me about him is that he looks so lazy. He's got that Sergio Busquets thing where he's so lazy and he always pops up and scores or assists or just. Just
tough ask for United. Look, appreciate everyone in the comments section. As you can imagine, because it was such a long game. I mean, there's other things you could touch on, but I think we've covered the majority of the important things. We're out. It's just the Europa League now that we focus on. Sociedad Thursday night, and hopefully they can get through that. If you're trying to find any kind of silver lining at all, it's that there's less games to play towards the end of the season, so we can finally get there. Because that's the way the season's heading at the minute. Europa League to cling on to. If you go out of that, season's done and dusted, as far as I'm concerned. I think if we did go out of that, I'd look at the league and I'd be like, what's the point, really?
It's done,
pretty much done, innit? So, happy Sunday, everyone. Try and enjoy the rest of your night. There's a few hours left, 4 hours left. And And yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow. It'll be an afternoon show. Obviously, we'll have the stuff around the Sociedad game when it gets up to that point. We've got a video dropping on Andre Onana for members only, which is dropping very, very soon. And then, yeah, keep an eye out for other bits and news topic stuff on the socials, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Appreciate you coming on, Civir. And yeah, I suppose